Prime Empire is a very, very weird season of Ninjago, because it somehow manages to be the most unique and most bland and generic Ninjago season there is. This season covered a very strange and even taboo topic for Ninjago. Many fans were not anticipating the video game theme and thought it was bad because it was new and different, which I love the aesthetics of this season. The video game theming led to some of the weirdest, most abstract and beautiful shots of this entire series. And the theme of video games also could easily tie into the theme of AI, which led to some really beautiful stuff with the side characters. But the thing about this season is something about it just does not click. I have rewatched this season several times. On my first watch, it was probably my worst Ninjago experience ever. On my second watch, I had a fun time of it. On my third watch, I really liked it. And on my fourth watch, I just felt nothing. One immediate criticism that I can think of about this season is in the shorts and how the season relies very heavily on YouTube shorts rather than just telling us information in the season. Take for example the continued motif of Jay and Nia's dancing skills, and how they explicitly mention that they've been taking dance lessons in secret. Now, if you've watched the shorts, this is great. This feels perfectly integrated. But the thing is, a good load of people who watch the TV show will not watch the YouTube exclusive shorts that go with it, which would be fine, but Jay and Nia's dancing skills are a continuing motif in the season that consistently come back and are mentioned by other people. So when Lloyd says this,
they must have been taking dancing lessons together in secret.
To the people who didn't go out of their way to watch the YouTube shorts that go along with this in a sea of non-canon shorts, it feels so out of nowhere and just like they took the show don't tell rule and just threw it in the bin. All of the other shorts are fine and do what they should do, add to the season rather than having essential information, but they rely so much on that one short rather than integrating it into the show in some way. Another issue I have is the potential fantastic character dynamics we never saw. Jay and Unagami have potential to be the best hero-villain dynamic the show has seen, or definitely up there, and they just didn't use it until the last 5 minutes of the season. We should have leaned more into their similar backstories. We should have seen more of these two characters interacting, in my opinion. And what we got instead was, for some reason, 2 story arcs which are pretty much identical. The arc goes like this: denial that they're in a game, realization of independence, and then exercising of that independence. It's a really good story and Okino tells it really well and Racer 7 does a good job of telling it. But I seriously don't see why there are 2 separate story arcs that have the exact same structure and message. Why? Why not just have them be one arc? And speaking of structure, this season is all over the place when it comes to that. Spend the first 3 episodes in Ninjago City, fair enough. Then we're going to go into the game and see the city world of the game, that's also fair enough and so far fine. And then in between episodes 4 and 5, we're suddenly now in a rural forest area for the next 4 episodes. And then after that, we hard cut back to the city area we're in before. And then from there, it's a really smooth transition to the end of the season. Why not instead of this do real world, city world in the game, forest world, Unagami temple, then end? I feel like this would be a much cleaner and more natural way to structure what could pretty much be just the same story. And while we're on the topic of the story, I want to dive a little more into how the characters in this season are handled. We do little to nothing with them this season. Cole, Kai, Nia and Zane all get no substantial character development or growth this season. Lloyd is still sad about Harumi, but we just spent the entire Ice chapter addressing this. With Jay we get something, but you know how much we get? In a season that spans 2 hours, 55 minutes and 59 seconds, we get a grand total of 36 seconds of important content for Jay's character. That's it. That equates to 0.34% of the entire season. I'm not one to add percentages like that when it comes to a kids show, but that is just not substantial for, again, a 2 hour plus long season. We don't even get much for Pixel even. Outside of learning that she is a robot and has autonomy, because no other season has said that before. And while Wu isn't able to do much this season, which does contribute to him feeling useless in Master of the Mountain, you know what season does this way more and much better? Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu. But there is a silver lining to this, however. Thanks to the Wojira arc, which I will discuss more in depth when I inevitably review that, one of the amazing things it does is give Prime Empire value to the show in hindsight. Those criminals who escaped, they were a large part of causing the Wojira arc. But praising the island and Seabound is for another time. Prime Empire's lack of impact on the show overall is definitely an issue, but was remedied by the later installments of the show, so I can forgive it to a degree. Also, the mechanic coming back is absolutely awesome, and I have zero complaints with that minus his kind of rushed conclusion, so I hope we see him again soon so that can be remedied too. Moving on from the characters, the power balancing and how power works in this season is also very, very strange and very inconsistent. Take these clips I've compiled as an example of this.
Where did you learn to fight like that? Dance class? I don't get it. I feel weak and slow. Huh?
It's like our hard-earned ninja skills have been deleted.
They must have been taking dancing lessons together in secret.
Whether people's skills can be carried into Prime Empire is a very inconsistent plot point that kind of just changes whenever the plot needs it to. I'm fine with plot devices like that, by the way. I love the Force. But not when that change is solely based on contradicting the previous appearance of that plot point. On top of this, after lamenting that their ninja skills have been gone in episode 4, episode 6 onwards the ninjas just fight like nothing happened. Why do they do this after episode 4? Who knows? And you know who else is completely questionable with their powers? Unagami. So just to put this into perspective, Unagami is the embodiment of the game. He is Prime Empire, and yet people can hide from him. How can Scott's level 999 stealth barrier hide from Unagami when the stealth barrier literally is Unagami? How Scott managed to live inside of Unagami for 30 years where it's established that he's completely omnipresent and yet not get caught is nothing short of very questionable. Just everything about Unagami reeks of inconsistency. Like how this season had Unagami call out Daya for abandoning him as wrong, and then expecting us to believe that Unagami didn't know what he was doing is wrong when threatening to do the exact same thing to Akino. But yeah, the rules of Prime Empire, how the game works, how people's abilities transfer into it, and Unagami himself are all very inconsistent. Okay, so to summarize, Prime Empire doesn't do much for the show's canon or characters at all, outside of something that was introduced a year after the season released. Stuff that it does do, like set up Wu feeling useless in Master of the Mountain, is done much better in other seasons, and the season as a whole is very inconsistent with its writing. So, what do I think of Prime Empire overall? It's not very good.